Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today, Thursday, August 21st, and we have a lot to get to today on the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live on Rumble, live on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, every podcast platform you can ever imagine. We're so thankful for our partnership with Radcast, also Daily Clout. We're on Substack. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. The Shannon Joy Show reaching upwards over 1 million eyes and ears every single month. And we could not do it without all of you. The Shannon Joy Show is independent. Not left, not right, just the truth every single day. There is so much propaganda out there. And we're going to lead the show off today. Our good friend James Lindsay over on the Twit put together a great poster. It's actually the 9 principles of propaganda that I tweeted out just the other day. And it's really helpful in understanding the fire hose in your face every day. The way that the ruling class, the governing class, those with power in Washington, D.C., and in the corporate world, the tech world, and across the globe, systematically propagandize the American people. And as you remember, Aaron Day was in with me last week. We're talking about technocracy, techno-fascism, and the creation of this global new technocratic order. And he made the comment that he believes the American people are the most propagandized on the face of the planet. And we have been for quite some time. It's highly sophisticated. They use the left and the right to deliver this propaganda, to also keep us divided. But as you know, the main thesis here on the Shannon Joy Show is that the left and the right work together. And this is how they keep us unaware of what they're doing and the plans that they have. And the plans are very troubling. We detail them every day here on the Shannon Joy Show. So we're going to go over the 9 principles of propaganda before we get started today. But you see the headline. We are going to go into Sasha Latypova's piece, her recent Substack that really took apart this new version of a universal vaccine that is being trotted out by, tragically, Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Jay Bhattacharya over at HHS and NIH. And it's insane. The one and done kill shot is what Sasha Latypova calls it. There are many, many disturbing elements, many questions about this new technology to replace the old technology. But amazingly, speaking of left hand, right hand, right? And them switching sides. Yesterday, Vigilant Fox posted out a video of Peter Hotez on mainstream news media, left-wing news media, with his panties in a bunch about this new universal vaccine that is being promoted, this new technology by Bobby Kennedy Jr. and HHS and also Jay Bhattacharya. And unbelievably, Peter Hotez is very concerned about, I kid you not, adverse reactions to this new technology and rushing the development of this new technology and potential signs of Guillain-Barré syndrome in early trials. In fact, we have a video of that I want to run for you right now. Annie, if you can pull that video up of Peter Hotez. Unbelievably, and this is the guy who looked away in the development of the COVID-19 vaccine, had no problem with Operation Warp Speed, completely denied all of the adverse injuries that were flooding into the vaccine adverse event reporting system during the rollout of the horribly toxic COVID vaccine. There was nothing to see there. But now, because he's on the outside and Bobby Kennedy is on the inside, all of a sudden Peter Hotez becomes an anti-vaxxer. And even more crazy, it's Bobby Kennedy Jr. who is pimping the vaccine for the pharmaceutical corporations. My head hurts, right? Today, as you can see in Bizarro America 2025, Bobby Kennedy Jr. becomes the government pharma pimp, and Peter Hotez plays the anti-vaxxer. It's a complete inversion of roles and is something to behold in just the blatant hypocrisy. It's also highly demoralizing, to be honest. But Annie, if you want to pull up that video, this is Peter Hotez. All of a sudden, he's now an anti-vaxxer. You can roll a tape.
And instead, he's pushing this idea of whole inactivated virus vaccines, which is a much older technology. And the reason you went to mRNA or you go to subunit vaccines, like what we did with our recombinant protein COVID vaccines, is because of the weakness of the whole inactivated virus technology. First of all, you can't rely on it because it depends. To inactivate the virus, you have to grow a lot of the virus, either in eggs or in cell lines. And with a new virus and a new pathogen and an emerging pandemic threat, you don't know if the virus is going to grow well in the lab or not. There's no way to predict. So that's problem number one. So sometimes even if you want to make a whole inactivated virus vaccine, you may not have enough virus to inactivate. So that's problem, and we're sometimes facing that now with the yellow fever vaccine. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is it produces a lot of side effects. If you remember, in 1976, there was a big push to make a whole inactivated virus vaccine against swine flu, and it caused high rates of Guillain-Barré syndrome. And that's because the whole inactivated virus technology probably has more side effects than just about any other vaccine technology. So why he would pick that is just absolutely makes no sense. I think what he was thinking maybe is, since this whole wellness and influencer push coming out of the MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again, boasts about natural immunity and this kind of stuff. And so he thinks maybe it'll more closely resemble natural immunity. It doesn't. It causes severe side effects. So pretty much everything, every statement coming out of HHS about mRNA vaccines is incorrect, and it puts the American people under great threat.
Okay. Calgon, take me away. Calgon, take me. Look, I can't. The inversion here is absolutely breathtaking. So here we have Peter Hotez, the pro-vaxxer. There isn't an adverse event that he ever acknowledged in the 5 years of the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine. Over 30,000 reports of vaccine-induced death at the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. Over 200,000 reports of hospitalizations, tens of thousands of reports of Guillain-Barré syndrome, right, that were reported post-vaccine by medical personnel to the Vaccine Adverse Event Report. He is now worried about a clinical trial years ago that had a strong signal that there were potential side effects of Guillain-Barré for this new technology, the universal vaccine that Bobby Kennedy is rolling out. Now, in any other universe, I would actually be agreeing with Peter Hotez. I would be saying, yes, we don't need new technologies. We don't need to invest taxpayer dollars into the development of all of these really bizarre technologies, these injections to address a future pandemic, when most of these viruses can be addressed with good old-fashioned vitamin C, vitamin D, and any of the amazing protocols that have come out of the COVID pandemic from people like Peter McCullough and others, right? So this idea that we now need to invest billions of dollars that is being spearheaded by Bobby Kennedy Jr. So in this bizarro world, I am now supposed to align with Peter Hotez because he's urging caution and slowing down, and the government not promoting these pharmaceutical products, while Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Jay Bhattacharya are on the other end pimping and promoting a new technology that has a ton of safety signals, really disturbing elements to this new technology that was laid out in an exhaustive piece put out by Sasha Latypova that I have linked into the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show today. The title of her piece, "Where is the $500 million for pandemic preparedness going, a sober take on HHS terminating 22 mRNA projects with BARDA. So she goes into, well, what is happening to that money? Where is it going? First, she overviews, the contracts that were canceled, and then she goes into the pivot to a safer platform, which Jay Bhattacharya mentioned in his op-ed at WAPO last week. And we know that Robert Kennedy Jr. has been pushing now. And this is what Bobby Kennedy Jr. had to say about this new technology. Let me be absolutely clear, he said. HHS supports safe, effective vaccines for every American who wants them. This is why we're moving beyond the limitations of mRNA and investing in better solutions. This signals a massive shift in federal health priorities that could mark the beginning of the end for mRNA vaccines, at least in the terms of taxpayer-funded innovation. Well, the taxpayer-funded innovation may not be going to mRNA, but it is going to new technologies. That $500 million is being diverted into what they're saying are a safer, what would be a safer universal vaccine platform, writes Sasha Latypova. And she goes on to detail an NIH science blog gushing over the prospects of what she is calling an all-in-one and done kill shot. And unlike traditional vaccines, this is what they are. The next generation platform that is being promoted unbelievably by Bobby Kennedy Jr. and warned about unbelievably by Peter Hotez on mainstream news media is a beta propylactone, a BPL, that's the key ingredient, inactivated whole virus to generate a broader immunity against viral families rather than individual variants, potentially offering protections against future mutations should they emerge, writes this NIH science blog. And she has it linked in the show note or in the notes of her piece. Our commitment is clear, said Bobby Kennedy Jr. Every innovation in vaccine development must be grounded in what he calls gold standard science and transparency and subjected to the highest standards of safety and efficacy testing. Now, this is also on the heels of Jay Bhattacharya's op-ed in WAPO last week, stating very clearly that they were going to embrace and continue and accelerate President Donald Trump's system of Operation Warp Speed. He applauded the Operation Warp Speed system of fast tracking new technologies, removing bureaucratic red tape, getting rid of certain liability issues for pharmaceutical companies, especially in an emergency or when if they're dealing with a new pandemic, and essentially a mirror operation and acceleration of Operation Warp Speed. So how this could in any way, shape, or form be gold standard. So if they're going to apply Operation Warp Speed principles to this new universal vaccine, I think that spells a lot of trouble for the American people. The initiative represents a strategic pivot in government vaccine development, focusing on two candidates, the BPL 1357 and BPL 24910. And the aim is to provide broad spectrum protection against multiple strains, including H5N1 avian influenza, SARS-CoV-2, SARS-CoV-1, and MERS COVID. And as I mentioned about
This is Jennifer with darkbags.com. I wanted to show you one of our newest products from Escape Zone. This is our satellite Faraday sleeve. So it actually will fit your satellite phone, which we've noticed that there wasn't any product on the market that perfectly fit them, so we decided to make them ourselves. And it has this Velcro closure right here to close it up, and that makes this dust and water resistant. So what's nice about this Faraday pouch is that it'll protect against any EMPs. So your emergency device actually will always be protected in here as long as it stays in here. You can take it out for everyday use, but if you're not using it, we recommend that you store it in here. Again, this is available on darkbags.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Sorry, we dropped the live feed right there. Do not know what happened, but we are back. We're going over, again, the inverse here, unbelievable in Bizarro America 2025. Peter Hotez is warning about serious adverse events from the rollout of a new universal platform for creating vaccines, while Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Jay Bhattacharya are aligning with massive pharmaceutical corporations, adopting and embracing the Operation Warp Speed era of vaccine development, which tragically resulted in all of the issues that we're having for the COVID vaccine. But they have completely switched spots, right? And it's mind-boggling. You know, I posted this out on Twitter, you know, how insane this is. That they have completely switched sides. It's complete hypocrisy on both sides, to be honest. And I had a really great comment from someone, Kafita Mirth on Twitter, said this is the aim, right? I mean, it's demoralizing, it's confusing, it doesn't make any sense. It is a blatant hypocrisy, and we're supposed to eat it and accept it. We're supposed to believe that Peter Hotez actually cares about COVID vaccine or about vaccine injury and potential side effects, while also believing that the guys who have been warning about Operation Warp Speed and ringing the alarm bells about vaccine injury and death are now embracing all of the elements of the apparatus that created the problem in the first place. It's crazy. And Kavita had this to say, that's the aim, Shannon. As you know, inversion creates cognitive dissonance. It hurts our heads, literally. And I don't really know what's going on here. I'd be interested to see what you guys think about this. My mind is blown. Nothing makes any sense. If you missed my show just a couple days ago, going through Jay Bhattacharya's op-ed with a fine-tooth comb to lay out the blueprint for the next 18 months, it is mirror image of the Donald Trump administration, the Biden administration, what Fauci did and what Hotez did. They just use different language that is appealing to a right-wing base or a medical freedom base. But it is all right there. They are going to press that pedal to the metal. It is more of the same. It's very, very disheartening. That doesn't mean there isn't good news out there. In fact, I linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show, from the bottom up at the local level and in the courts, we're getting some serious movement. There is a new bill which has been brought. It's sponsored by Children's Health Defense. It's the GRACE Act, and that seeks to bring religious exemptions for vaccination to every state in the United States of America, including states like California and New York State that have denied children the right to refuse a vaccine for philosophical or religious reasons. That's good news. There shouldn't be any vaccine mandates whatsoever, and the government shouldn't be in the business of creating, rolling out, and promoting vaccines. They're doing all of the legwork, the heavy lifting for these pharmaceutical corporations on the taxpayer backs, and the corporations run away with the piggy bank. It's insane. But she goes on.
This is Jennifer with darkbags.com. I wanted to show you our latest product. This is our laptop sleeve that has a over-the-shoulder carrying strap, as well as these two straps on the side, so you can kind of hold it like a briefcase. What's special about this is that there's actually a Faraday bag built in to this backpack that fits up to a 17-inch laptop. So here's my laptop. I'm going to put it in. Once you put your laptop into this sleeve, your company can no longer track you, because they do track you after you log off of work and you put your computer to the side. They're still tracking you wherever you go. Another thing that's awesome about the Faraday pouch that's in this bag is that it blocks excessive EMF radiation that's being emitted to you.
so that those harmful pulses will not reach you. And also, in case there's an EMP, this protects your electronics from the EMP. So not only does it fit your laptop, you can put your phone, you can put your wallet in here as well, and it will be protected. There is cushioning on the sides, so it'll keep all of your electronic accessories safe in here. This will be available on darkbags.com.
Gold and silver has been in kind of a sideways up down. It hasn't really grown a lot, but this is part of a larger trend that Jesse Colombo has been watching over the past couple of years. And he is predicting that gold could rise another $900 in just the next couple of months. And silver is not far behind. There's a lot of chatter about silver as well being suppressed artificially by the big gold and silver companies for many, many years, but it continues to break out. It continues to maintain the value that it has right now. The point of all of this being that if you are invested 100% in the stock market, if you're concerned about your 401k, if you're concerned that your IRA or 401k could lose its value or even be manipulated by new legislation that is opening the door up to private equity and also cryptocurrencies within your 401k or IRA, now is the time to have a conversation about this with our friends over at Colonial Metals Group. It is so easy to move a portion of your 401k or IRA into gold and silver backed instruments. It is a hedge against this chaos and the corruption, and it can back up your savings. You have been working too hard for too long to save. You've done everything that is right. And the fact that these corrupt and nasty politicians, left and right, are going to come in and screw things up so badly that regular Americans might not have, access or their investments might not be able to cover their expenses into retirement is just atrocious. And this is why so many Americans are moving into gold and silver backed investments. Colonial Metals Group is the company I trust. Go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. That is colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. It does not hurt to have a conversation. They are amazing. They know this audience and they will walk you through this process. It's super easy. colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. So sorry for those technical difficulties. I keep getting booted off of my own stream. Thank you so much to Inez Annie Cyrus, our amazing producer. We went to commercial break. I shut down my entire computer, started it up again, and hopefully we will not have that issue again. Green Tea 369, great to see you on the live chat. Guitar Lily is with us on the live chat as well on Rumble. CJP Rumble is with us. Chronozone 777. What do you think about the complete inversion, right? The anti-vaxxer in chief, Bobby Kennedy Jr., for 20 years, talking about governments getting involved with pharmaceutical corporations and the revolving door and investing taxpayer money into vaccine platforms and using coercive measures from the government to get people to take vaccines and recommending the vaccines from the CDC, all of the things, a 20-year history, a long history, hundreds of hours of statements and interviews, right? All of a sudden, Bobby Kennedy Jr. is now, I'm so sorry, pimping the vaccines and using taxpayer money to invest in new platforms. In fact, this new platform, the next generation vaccine platform, does have, and this is one of the key elements here, it is indeed wholly owned by the federal government. So it is, again, the public-private partnership. But what do you think about that? You know, all of a sudden, Bobby Kennedy Jr. is out there promoting these vaccines, and the guy who never met a vaccine that he didn't love, never saw an adverse event ever in the history of his life, right? 100% pro-vaccine, nothing to see here with adverse injuries and death. Peter Hotez now going on mainstream left-wing news media and ringing the alarm bell about potential vaccine adverse events. What do you think about it? I want to hear from you on the live chat. We are also live on Twitter, Facebook, Substack. You guys can comment there as well. We're going to look at this piece from Sasha Latypova in just a bit. What do we know about this marvelous new vaccine platform, which is owned and financed by the federal government for completely non-commercial reasons? Well, she goes into what, the elements of this new vaccine, and they're very troubling. Very troubling. Okay, so we're going to get into that in just a little bit, but I also want to let you know we're going to bring in Brett Miller. He's a friend of the Shannon Joy Show. At 1 p.m. Eastern time, we are going to be talking about the technocracy. We're going to talk about preparedness. This is a sponsored segment by the satellite phone store, sat123.com/joy. They are amazing sponsors of the Shannon Joy Show, and you guys are going to love Brett Miller. He totally gets it. We're going to talk about the technocracy, fascism, and the rise of this new digital surveillance state. He gets it. He uses technology, understands technology, but also understands the bigger picture and shares our values. So that's going to be an amazing segment starting at 1 p.m. He is the CEO of Galileo, and I cannot wait to introduce you to him again. He's been on the Shannon Joy Show. I think the last time was a couple years ago, and we're going to work him in on a regular basis. We had a great conversation this morning, and I was like pumping my fist. I'm like, you are so perfect. Like, we align in so many ways. So you guys are really going to love that segment. But we do have other news of the day that I want to get to before we get to that Sasha Latypova piece. And I also want to hear from you guys about the inversion. It is, the propaganda is insane and nothing makes any sense. And, the politicians, left-wing news media, right-wing news media, the talking heads, the pundits, they just switch sides every 4 years. I'm flabbergasted by how many on the right, big talkers on the right, are justifying the lockdowns, the military police state, Donald Trump promising to march into LA, Chicago, New York City, in addition to Washington, D.C., and basically take over, yet they're cheering it because the left is so bad and they've broken the social compact and all of the things, right? So they just completely switch sides. Now the left is worried about privacy and the Constitution and our God-given natural rights. It's just mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Buskman, I will use Hotez's comments on the street. Yeah, listen, I guess now we are supposed to, if you are principled and you believe in common sense and reason and the Constitution of the United States of America and God-given natural rights and free markets, and you're against corruption and collusion and lying from people within the federal government, from both political parties, whatever. If you believe in the principles of the Constitution of the United States of America, separation of powers, not allowing powerful governmental entities to gain too much power, understanding that they become very dangerous, not wanting corporations and governments to merge together in a quasi-fascism, right? To suck up market share, crush the free market, raise our prices. I have an inflation story here, which is devastating. Like, if you just believe in those basic principles, apparently you have to switch sides every 4 years. So apparently now we have to join Peter Hotez and the left, I guess, and the people at the No Kings rallies who are marching. They're going to the parks all over the country every Saturday and talking about how we shouldn't have monarchies and power structures that are not accountable to the people. I don't know. It sounds like the things that I heard at my anti-lockdown rallies that I was at, for the entirety of 2020 and 2021. It's just crazy. MAP 2022. This is what happens when you trust in personalities over data. Well, this is what happens when you are susceptible to propaganda. And the key is to eject from the two parties, because this is what they do. they switch sides every 4 years, and it's just it's breathtaking to watch. They usually do it slower and in a little bit more of a nuanced way. But man, this is just I have whiplash. I have whiplash. It's happening so fast. I wanted to go into the 9 principles of propaganda. Yeah, an article. So now Hotez is anti-vax, and they believe that the anti-vaxxers will run out and get vaxxed. I don't think people are buying this. I really don't. We need to have discernment, and discernment, first comes with acknowledging the truth and understanding what's going on. And I really enjoyed this piece that was pushed out by James Lindsay, who is a must follow on Twitter. He is exposing the new right, the woke right. This is the right-wing apparatus in the media that is embracing canceling the Constitution and, deploying the military police state to keep us safe. As long as it can help the King Trump get his agenda done, the new right is going to embrace it. And there are all kinds of discussions out there about how the left is so bad and so scary and so terrible, and they've broken things so badly that we now need to embrace this new temporary tyranny, the temporary monarchy, or a suspension of our Constitution in order for Trump to fix things. It's only temporary, though. It will be very quick. That's what Donald Trump said. Very, very quickly, we'll deploy the military police state. It'll be super quick. And then everything's going to go back to normal. And we are going to be ushered into the new golden age. I promise. 2 weeks to slow the spread of violence and crime across America. I don't buy it. But, this is one of the really crazy phenomenons we're witnessing in American politics today is inversion. It's the flipping of sides every 4 years, depending on which political party is in power, but they all embrace the tyranny. And James Lindsay has, he hits the nail on the head, exposes it every day on his Twitter account, but he did push out this piece on the 9 principles of propaganda. And I do believe that today, in order to understand what you are being pummeled with, the news cycle, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's at a breakneck pace. There's a crisis every day. Alex Jones, every weekend, his head is about to explode over the aliens or the new invasion, or Trump is now, I don't know, he needs our prayers because he has had another conversion and God is on his, I don't know what Alex Jones is blathering on about right now, but it's always super hyperbolic. The world is ending. And it's not just Jones, it's on the left and the right as well. But in order to understand all of this, you have to understand some principles of propaganda. And I wanted to know what you guys thought about these. There are 9 here that he lays out. And I think this is good as we kind of like settle and slow down. This news cycle wants us to speed up. They want to hit us every day. They want to confuse us every day. They want to confound us and demoralize us. And that's what the Hotez Kennedy thing is. I think that's the root of it. Whether those 2 fellas even know what they're doing or how they're being used, I have no idea. I don't know the whys. I don't purport to understand the whys. Okay? Why they do a complete 180, I'm not in their brains. I'm not in their heads. I don't even know the guys. Okay? But it is happening, and it's wrong. Okay? So in order to understand this, I do think we need to understand these principles. And the first one is, so these are the 9 principles of propaganda. The first is lie big. Okay? If you're going to go bold. Big lies work better than small lies because the masses won't believe that anyone would lie about something so big, right? And this is case in point. Peter Hotez, going on mainstream news media after covering up vaccine injuries and deaths for decades, is now concerned about Guillain-Barré syndrome. And he does it with a straight face, right? I mean, he lies right to your face. And you're thinking, am I crazy? Because I have 17,000 videos of you completely discounting any adverse events coming from vaccines, any vaccine, let alone the mRNA. And now all of a sudden you're channeling Bobby Kennedy Jr. on left-wing news media makes no sense. So first of all, lie big, and it works better because normal people don't lie like that. And so they're unsuspecting. So it's like, whoa, okay, this must be true. The second is to focus. Don't make it complicated. Ignore history. Facts don't matter. Studies don't matter. What you said yesterday doesn't matter. You focus in on the lie, you focus in on that propaganda, and you hammer it. All right, that's principle number 2 of propaganda. Remember these principles. Number 3, repetition. Rinse and repeat. Groundhog Day political hell is what I like to call it regarding the political circus that we exist in today. People cannot tell the difference between facts and familiarity. If they hear the same words repeated enough over and over and over, it will become true in their minds, right? So repetition is key. And if you hone in on some of these media outlets, some of the commentators and influencers and politicians out there, when you hear them repeating over and over and over the same messaging, that is a clue that it is some kind of potential propaganda. And MAV 2022, I don't disagree. I think they could be orchestrating another scamdemic. This is why we have to be vigilant and alert at all times. And I see you clones on the live chat as well. Number 4, blame. Never credit the other side. Always blame, debase, defame, and dehumanize. So when you are going after the other side, you don't use facts, you don't use data, you don't use reason, common sense, or any type of civility whatsoever. It is, hammering them in, on all of the way they look, the way they sound, the way they act. It's simple. You debase them, you dehumanize them, you defame them, and mock them, right? And so that's used by both sides of the political aisle in terms of propaganda. Provoke outrage, fear, and resentment. This is more powerful than reason, logic, and facts. The left uses this against the right. I mean, all of the memes, think about all of the memes that you've ever seen in your life with the left and the right, how the left demeans and dehumanizes the right, and they use outrage, fear, provocation, resentment. The right uses this as well. And in the age of social media, all of the videos that you see of the women on welfare who have 17 kids, and they're giving you 2 middle fingers and saying, I love my government daddy, and all of the things, right? Makes you wonder if those videos are real or if they're fake. Right? Because what does that do? It tells the right that there is a caricature of the welfare state, people who take welfare, and it makes them hate them, quite frankly. Now, they never talk about the big, fat, nasty corporate welfare queens that are totally in line and in cahoots with the federal government, right? It's always, the poor people, but the left does it as well. Think of all of the memes and all of the smears that the left pushes out on a regular basis about the so-called right, anti-vaxxers, or, people who believe in the Constitution. They mock them and demean them. And, they have the memes of the gun-toting, racist redneck who is flying the Confederate flag and wants to lynch all of the Black people in his backyard. I mean, that's kind of the version that the left will put out. And what does that do? Both sides use it and they work together. Why? Because then we're divided. But when the left and the right come together in Washington, D.C., well, then they go to the cocktail parties, and then they link up together, and then they pursue the growth, the expansion of the collusion, the coercion, the corruption, the power elite structure that is absolutely fleecing the American people. By the way, this Zero Hedge piece that I did not link it. Are you drowning too? Inflation is insane. Coffee, vegetables, electricity prices. Veggies are up 38.9%. Coffee is up 25%. Electricity prices are rising, and you probably don't know it because they're messing with the numbers and qualifying vegetables as a luxury item. It's crazy. So You can't afford coffee or vegetables. Yet the government is raking in $33 trillion or running $33 trillion deficits and raking in trillions of dollars, handing them to their corporate partners, pharmaceutical corporations, the tech corporations, right? Talk about that stock bubble, right? It's all tech stocks right now that are driving it. So what they do is they use these tactics to divide us left and right so that we hate each other. We're afraid of each other. We don't think that there's any hope. And then we offer up our freedom and our liberty and our Constitution to the guy that we think is on our side, right? Because he hates those people as much as we do, because we've been conditioned to hate them by propaganda and the mainstream news media. And then we allow them to take our freedom. And we say, yeah, Donald Trump, we're so afraid of the left and they're so terrible and they broke the social compact and they're so evil that we need you to be a tyrant. We need you to be a king. We want you to have 3 more terms. We want you to march in with the full force of the federal government, with the military, and shut down cities. We want to hand you all of this executive power, emergency power. I mean, the last 6 months have been breathtaking. If Joe Biden had done the things that Donald Trump is doing, the right would be going crazy. And the left right now is rightly going crazy over what Trump is doing because it is tyrannical. But they were nowhere to be found during Joe Biden's administration. This is how nutty the world is today. This is why you feel crazy. You feel crazy because both the left and right are full of hypocrites, tyrants, and liars, and they're playing us against each other. Okay, back to the 9 principles of propaganda. Does this make sense to all of you? Like, this makes sense. This makes so much sense to me. I feel like you can't analyze news without understanding that probably 99% of what we see in the news is pure, sophisticated, layered, and moneyed, backed by a lot of money, propaganda. So here is the number 6. So the 9 principles of propaganda: 1, lie big; 2, focus; number 3, repeat, repetition; blame the other side, provoke the other side, but then come together, right? Use those 2 sides in order to run away with the piggy bank, okay? Number 6, crisis. Create a crisis every single day. Issue must be life or death, good versus evil, love versus hate, us versus them. Urgency defeats objection, right? So when you see this, the hyperbole, the emergency, that is a clue, right? And we saw this now yesterday on Tucker Carlson. He had a fellow named David Collum. Speaking of how fast this news cycle runs, okay? So we're done with Epstein. That's over, says the right. That was a big hoax by the Democrats. Nothing to see here. Move on, you idiots. That's what Trump is saying to his people. Nothing to see here on Epstein. But now we're going to go after Hillary. So they resurrected the corpse of Hillary Clinton and her laptop and Russia. And we're going to go get Hillary. That was last week, okay? This week, it's Anthony Weiner's laptop. So this guy, David Collum, goes on to Tucker Carlson yesterday and says that if the contents of Anthony Weiner's laptop were ever exposed, it would collapse the entire United States of America system. He claims that the laptop was rigged with kill switches that contained material so horrific that 9 police officers, by the way, unnamed, no proof of the 9 police officers, and I'm not sure that there are obituaries or records. I haven't seen them yet, but apparently 9 police officers killed themselves after viewing it. So that's now driving the news cycle. And to be clear, I believe that there are conspiracies and there are very, very bad people out there. I don't think there is any depth to the depravity of the ruling class. Nothing would surprise me. However, we're now going to be waiting, I suppose, with bated breath for the release of Anthony Weiner's laptop, which will probably be 6 months from now and involve empty binders and a bunch of social media influencers, but just got to keep that carrot dangling in front of everyone. This is the crisis. This is the fear. And there is a great response to this that is actually pretty powerful that I thought made a lot of sense. You know, the Weiner laptop, and this is from Sightbringer. It was in response to Shadow of Ezra, who pushed out this video of this David column. He said the Weiner laptop is almost certainly not the singular nuclear device that would collapse the US government if revealed. That's myth making, but it does sit at the intersection of three uncomfortable truths. One, the FBI and intelligence agencies bury things when politically inconvenient. This is undeniable. We've seen it again and again. Epstein files, Hunter Biden, JFK files, the Weiner laptop fits this exact pattern. Something is seized, leaked, it leaks. There are whispers, but it never surfaces. The silence itself is a signal, or it signals that there was something that they didn't want to go public. Then there's probably compromise-tier material in it. That's the second uncomfortable truth. Not necessarily supernatural horrors or aliens, but emails, communications, possible files linking to Clinton world, the DNC, foreign actors in ways that would be political devastating. The life insurance file rumor rings true because powerful players do keep leverage files, but that doesn't mean it is containing some of, I mean, just conjure up in your imagination how terrible this crisis is. I mean, the worst possible thing you can imagine. And that's what people do. The secrecy is what drives the fear, and it makes us very frightened. Why did those people kill themselves? Why are they dead now? Could that happen to me if I look into any of these things? So it keeps you in a fear place. And then this is the last uncomfortable truth. The myth eclipses the content. The very fact the laptop is sealed, whispered about, and surrounded by all cops who saw it are dead, which was rolled out on Tucker, rumors make it more powerful than the actual files ever could have. The establishment knows this. They don't even have to reveal or deny. The ambiguity fuels both paranoia and control, which leads me to believe, though there might be multiple truths about the Anthony Weiner laptops, that what we saw yesterday with Tucker Carlson is likely propaganda. It is the fear-based, emotion-based propaganda. The seventh critical line is emotion. A person might question facts, but they will never question their own feelings, always go emotional. Pandering, ignore reasonable arguments, demonize all who disagree as having bad intentions, and no limits. Morality is for losers. The victor's morality will not be questioned, no limits whatsoever. I'm going to post these 9 principles of propaganda on the show notes. In fact, I did post these on the show notes. We could probably do an entire show on each one of these principles. But the bottom line on Tucker Carlson and the Anthony Weiner laptop, I think, is truth. This literal story, 9 cops are dead, horrors beyond imagination, is almost certainly exaggerated or fabricated or some kind of propaganda. And but the structural truth is that the laptop became a symbol of how deep corruption goes, how much it gets buried. It's like a mirror. People project their darkest suspicions onto it because they know the system is lying elsewhere. If it were ever fully released, it probably wouldn't collapse the government, but it would collapse trust in certain figures and institutions, confirming what most people already suspect, that the rot runs far deeper than we're told. So you got to test everything. That is the point. I don't know what's in Anthony Weiner's laptop. I don't know if this story about the 9 dead cops is real or fabricated. We don't know a lot about Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein files and so many of the stories and the scandals that we have been subjected to and traumatized by as American people for the past 50 years. But I do know propaganda when I see it. And if you know the principles of propaganda, you will be better able to identify it and then reject it, or at the very least, take it with a grain of salt. Okay, we ran long here. I do want to go to a quick break. We have Brett Miller. He is in the Joy Virtual Studio. We're going to bring him in just a moment to talk about this and other topics in the context of preparedness. One of the best ways to battle fear and to maintain your independence is to be prepared. If you are prepared, the propaganda is not going to penetrate. Their psyops won't work. The next disaster, the next crisis is not going to devastate you because you're prepared and your family is prepared. We're going to be talking about that when we come back with a new guest. Well, we've had him on before, but we're going to have him on a lot more. Brett Miller, he's the CEO of Galileo and a spokesperson for the satellite phone store that provides all that you need for preparation. We're going to be back in a moment right here on the Shannon Joy Show. Our friends over at Native Path. Hey, you guys know that my morning routine, one of the ways I stay healthy, almost 50 years old. I can't believe that I am almost halfway through a natural life. And one of the ways that I maintain a pain-free lifestyle and great hair, nails, and skin. Also, it's just a great way to restore collagen. You guys know it is my favorite, Native Path collagen. Every single morning in my coffee, it is a must. I use Native Path collagen. Devastatingly Handsome Dr. Joy uses Native Path collagen for his joint pain. It has helped him in so many ways. And I believe every person over the age of 40 should be implementing collagen into their diet on a regular basis. Reduces inflammation. There are so many good outcomes from that daily use of collagen. And Native Path collagen is the best on the market. It dissolves instantly. It has absolutely no taste. It is protein. It's beef derived, and it is absolutely clean. The best part, it is the best price point that you will find on collagen anywhere in the market. You won't find these price points at the drugstore. You won't find these price points at your discount grocery center. It is the best collagen for the best price, and you can only get it at getnativepathcollagen.com/joy. That's getnativepathcollagen.com/joy. Use that Joy promo code for an additional 45% off. It's the only way you're going to get that stock up sale price. And I just recommend it. I've been using collagen for years. People ask me, how do you stay so young and vibrant, Shannon? And one of my secrets is, of course, Native Path collagen. The SAT123, the satellite phone store, and the amazing team over at this amazing website. It is everything that you need for preparation, everything that you need when the power goes out, when the storm comes, whether it's a generator to keep the power on, solar panels, a satellite phone. If we lose power and the towers go down and 5G, 4G, 3G, it's not working. These satellite phones are absolutely critical in getting in touch with loved ones, and they can actually be a blessing to an entire community. There's so many stories that Tina, the owner and founder of Satellite Phone Store, tells about communities that have one satellite phone that was used to help hundreds of families redirect traffic, direct people to a safe a place or a place to escape a fire or a natural disaster. I mean, the stories are absolutely amazing. And not only can you protect your own family, but you can also be a blessing to your community when you are prepared. Please go to sat123.com/joy. That is sat123.com/joy. That is my page. And the folks at Satellite Phone Store always have amazing deals for the Shannon Joy audience. 10% off with that promo code JOY. That's 10% off your entire purchase with the promo code JOY. Everything that you need when the lights go out. The Faraday collection, the satellite phones, the generators, you name it, they have it. And we're so thankful for everything that they do for this show. So sat123.com/joy. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Without further ado, I would like to welcome very good friend of the Shannon Joy Show, Brett Miller, is with us. He's the CEO of Galileo and a spokesperson for the satellite phone store. He is an expert in technocracy, technology, just a great person. He totally gets it. I told you guys this morning, we had a great conversation this morning, and you've been on with me before, Brett, but we're talking about propaganda today and the next crisis, right? Like everyone seems prepared. It's the weirdest thing. Everyone seems to be getting the sense that they're all lying to us. A lot of this is propaganda, and we're just waiting for that next shoe to drop. Like, what's the next crisis? A pandemic, alien invasion, a natural disaster? You know, what do you make of, I know that you were sitting in, you know, for some of the last segment, we were talking about principles of propaganda and how the two sides are really playing us against each other here in the country. What are your thoughts on that, and on preparedness as like a key? Like, first you got to spot that propaganda, understand what's going on, but then you have to make sure you're not afraid. And the key to not being afraid, fearful, or controlled is preparation. And that's like your mission. What are your thoughts on that and where we are today politically in the country?
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me back. It's great to see you. I was listening to your show in the waiting room, and I just wanted to remind your audience that the largest recipient of welfare is the government and your government employees, and that even guys like Paul Pelosi took, you know, millions of dollars in PPP loans. Nancy Pelosi took millions in PPP loans. All of those were forgiven by themselves. So that's nice. That's a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to remind your audience. But yeah, you know, on a more conscious and prepared note, you know, it would be nice to be able to sit back and relax and think that, you know, okay, the good guys won, and we're going to usher in freedom, and we're going to punish the bad guys, and, you know, all of these wrongs that have been done and carried out against our people, our nation, and the world generally, are going to be ceased, and all are going to be brought to trial, and, you know, happy ending. But I
Anthony
don't.
Weiner.
Yeah. But now we're 10 years ago talking about, and you know, when you went down that list, you forgot Obama. Remember, he was going to get Obama. He put out the AI treason, you know, arrest video of Obama. It's all baloney.
Yeah.
It's the biggest entertaining show. I mean, they should just put the government on Netflix, because it's all just, you know, baloney. So we just want to instill, you know, there's still hope. And the hope is that this country was not built by the few. It was built by the many over many, many years. So if you're here now and you live in America, it's because your family survived. You are a surviving member of a long lineage that has overcome many trials and tribulations for hundreds of years here in this country, thousands of years on earth. You are proof of that lineage.
Yeah.
So that means that you're a survivor. You have it in your blood. Your family was, and you are too. And you didn't need a government. Your family and relatives and greats didn't need a government to feed them. They did it on their own. So we just want to keep instilling that sense of strength and pride in ourselves.
Right. Well, and that resiliency is really attacked when you move into a period of dependency. And I think that is really one of the key factors that makes American civilians, we the people, very vulnerable today, is that both sides of the political aisle, in so many ways, we have become dependent on the government for certain things, dependent on these elite structures. And it starts with, I mean, you know, in terms of our energy and our electricity and that type of thing, but especially in a crisis, right? That is when every single barrier collapses, because people don't have food, they don't have communications, they're frightened, they're fearful. We saw how they used the pandemic to frighten people into injecting themselves with poison, which is unbelievable, right? So can you talk about the principles? I mean, there are moral principles behind preparedness and being able to take care of yourself, especially in those emergency situations that you so eloquently talk about. But what are those principles?
I mean, at its core, self-reliance and preparedness is the difference between an adult and a child. So which are you? Are you, you know, relying on someone to feed you? Are you relying on someone to house you and clothe you and keep you warm? Do you have the skills to take care of yourself? And then if you have a family, do you have the skills to take care of the ones you love? Or are you relying on someone else to do that for you? And if you are, then you're a child. You're not an adult. And, you know, until you accept the personal responsibility of, you know, taking care of yourself, then, you know, you should just consider yourself what you are. But that is not an insult to anybody. That is a real awakening call for people who like, myself for most of my adult life, I was like, oh yeah, look how great I'm doing. I'm paying my bills and I'm doing all this stuff. But yeah, I mean, when the power goes out, I'm a child in those scenarios because I don't. It's like, well, wait, what am I supposed to do now? I have a long history of survival and preparedness and military and scouting and search teams and all kinds of stuff. So, I always have what I need. But in, the last few years, I've realized, and I think a lot of people realized in this moment of unsurety and insecurity, I guess is a better word for it, through the Biden regime, people started really paying attention to like, hey, what if the power does go out? Hey, what if, our financial system does collapse? Hey, what if, and a lot of normal people who, felt like they were in control, I think got a small taste of instability. And now, we've come into a place where I think we're supposed to feel like we're more relaxed. However, we are now being hit with multiple 1,000-year storms happening within like a month,
Right.
which is like the odds of that are astronomical. You have fires burning across the entire country. I have friends in Greece, Canada's burning, Colorado, I have friends in Colorado's burning. I mean, everywhere. California just burned, I mean, everything's burning. And if it's not burning, it's flooding,
Right.
and washing away. So, this idea that like everything's going to be okay is, I imagine there are people in North Carolina that felt very prepared. I
Right.
imagine, I know there are people in Pacific Palisades that felt very prepared, and I'll stop here. But yeah, I think that at its core, it's knowing that I can get water and keep warm no matter what.
Right. And communicate with friends, family, and loved one, be a blessing to neighbors. I mean, Tina Blanco, who is the CEO founder of Satellite Phone Store, has so many great stories of
Love Tina.
one satellite phone that is used. Someone in a community has it. There's a natural disaster and they use that phone to achieve, so
Hawaii.
much. Yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's Mark Bodeger, I believe is the gentleman's name. He worked for the Marriott.
Mhm.
It's Marriott or Hilton, one of the two. But yeah, there were, when the Lahaina fires came through, Mark had a phone and he was able to call, and as they were evacuating the guests of the resort, he was able to figure out through having a satellite phone that if they had gone left, they would have headed into the fire. So he put
Exactly.
everyone in the other direction
Yeah.
and saved thousands of lives with one satellite phone. And,
Yeah.
in an emergency, just to follow up with that, community is where it's at. People think that you can just call 911, but you can't call 911 if there's no cell tower use. And if 1,000 people in your neighborhood try to call 911 at the same time, that cell tower is shut down and has to be a hard restart. Has to have a hard restart done by the company. So a satellite phone is the way to communicate, and especially our governments, militaries use it. So it's
Yeah.
just the common sense route.
I think everyone does get the sense, Brett, that something is coming. I think that and it's not paranoia, and it isn't fear, because we don't operate in fear. We don't do the Alex Jones like head exploding alert, alert, alert. The aliens are coming. The zombies are coming. The Democrats are
Poor
coming.
Alex.
Right? Like that's not the play here on the Shannon Joy Show.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong about the Canadian fires here in New York. We've been under a blanket twice this summer, just a blanket of this heavy, heavy smog that is making people sick. All of a sudden, I've lived in New York, Brett, for 45 years. I'm 48, moved here when I was 3. I don't ever remember Canadian wildfires, ever impacting anything in New York State. All of a sudden, 2 years ago, we have them 3 times a year, and they're accelerating. What you were saying about the wild weather is very strange. But now they're acknowledging, well, we've been doing weather modification and cloud seeding and geothermal engineering and solar radiation management. And it's like, oh yeah, you didn't know that? So they've been calling people conspiracy theories for 20 years, or theorists for 20 years. And now it's just, oh yeah, we're doing this. And they don't think it's going to impact things like.
I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I love that. Yeah, we talked about it a little earlier. It was hilarious. 30 years. Yeah, I was a nutball. All my friends, everyone for chemtrails, I'm pointing them out. Look at that line. That's
Right.
different. No, contrail, you're crazy. Smoke some more.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like I was just mocked. And then, 2 weeks ago or whatever, a month ago, some 25-year-old with a mullet goes on Tucker Carlson and Sean Ryan and then reassures us all that he has it under control and that he's known the whole time, his all 25 full years of life. He was 18, 7 years ago. So we're just gonna make sure this kid reassured the whole world. So now I can rest easy that for 35 years or 30 years, I wasn't a nutball because this 25-year-old just told Tucker Carlson everything we all needed to know. So we can go back to sleep now. Shh, quiet, Shannon. Shh, sleep.
Everything's okay here.
Everything's fine. Look,
Donald Trump's in the Oval Office. I mean, my eyes are bleeding with the gold inlay. I can't. Every time I see the Oval Office, he's slapped up another golden thing.
How about he cleaned the garden? We just cement over the garden.
Let's go. Oh my God.
I'm silicon everything. We don't need anything natural. Who needs a garden? We're going to sell the national parks next because, we need condos in the mountains.
In the data centers. You forgot about the data centers,
Oh,
Brett
the
Miller.
data center. Well, stop drinking water, Shannon, because how is AI going to survive if you keep drinking all this water? Selfish human.
Manhattan-sized, Brett Miller. Mark Zuckerberg said so.
Yeah.
We absolutely need 10,000 Manhattan-sized data centers all over the country so that
no more big water bottles for all these ladies walking around. You got to have a little water bottle because AI needs all the water.
Tell me
where does the common sense come from? I mean, sorry, you speak.
No, go ahead. You keep going. You can do it.
When does the common sense kick in for 340 million Americans, 100 and some million of them working class citizens, and even the people who have come to this country for a better life? You're now a citizen here. You got to give 50% of your income to a corrupt 535, people. So when does the common sense kick in with the United States? What are we going to do? Because we've been fed this kind of nonsense lie. Are we going to do something as a nation? I would say probably not. So I'm saying and telling people your job right now is to take care of you and your family.
Right.
It's to build your community. It's to connect with the ones you love. It's to get to know your neighbors. It's to see if they have water or they have fire or they have a generator or maybe they're growing corn and you have a couple sheep, or maybe none of you have anything and we just need to buy some buckets of food and buy some ammunition so we can at least work together.
Right.
So I think that there's a personal responsibility here. In fact, I know there's a personal responsibility here that has that we have set aside, that we have not taken full accountability for our participation. It's easy to point to DC far away and say, hey, those guys are screwing it all up for everybody. But do you have water? Do you know your neighbors? Are you running for city council? Are you part of the school board? Are you taking your community back? And that's just really what we want to do at Satellite Phone Store. And, and that's why we sell all these great products, is because it's encouraging you and supporting you, the individual, and you, the community member, because again, like I said, that's how this country was built.
Well, and to the audience, I cannot tell you how amazing Tina Blanco, CEO of Satellite Phone Store, the entire staff. I mean, when you call a Satellite Phone Store, a human answers the phone. It's like the first time I had an issue with my satellite phone, and I'm like, hello? I was, usually there's the automated system. We're talking to Brett Miller. He's a representative for Satellite Phone Store. What are some of the things that, and as I mentioned this morning, Brett, you are so good. He has his own podcast. He does content himself. He's the CEO of Galileo. I'd like to have you on for a full hour to really get into certain stories, news of the day. You are an expert in technocracy, the techno-fascism. He gets it, gets everything. So this is hopefully just the beginning of some regular segments. But for those who are starting out, preparation is it's very daunting to people who haven't thought about it, who haven't started about it. And sometimes because it just seems so huge and they can never get everything, they just don't do anything. What would you recommend to people who are just getting started as some of the basics, the things they need to look at in terms of getting started?
Absolutely. Thanks. That's a great question. And it is overwhelming. First thing to do is when you wake up in the morning and you go through your morning routine, just jot down what you do and what it requires for you to do that. Do you turn the water on to brush your teeth? Do you boil water to make your coffee? Do you turn the lights on, etc.? Do you take a hot shower? And
Right.
now, just imagine imagine a scenario and then plan a strategy for what happens if those things go away, and for 24, 48, 72 hours, or potentially even longer. And what does that look like for you and your family in your household in the morning, right? Because if you can handle your morning routine, generally most people could handle the afternoon and evening routine. You just might have to cut your workday off short. But
Okay.
and then spread it out. Go through your afternoon, go through your evening, go through your work. What do you require? And then what do you have as a redundancy or a backup in your life to supplement that if your main avenue for that particular item or that particular action gets cut off? And that's what I would just tell people to do is personal accountability. What do you do? What do you need to do that? What's important to you and your family? And then how do you back that up?
Something I've been looking at is the generators, Brett,
Yeah,
and Satellite Phone Store has some options for generators, and then they also have the solar panels too. In terms of
absolutely.
just keeping power, like how does that work? I mean, do they have? I mean, you could spend a lot of money on a generator, but how
Yeah.
would that look? Say the lights go out, the aliens come, whatever.
Yeah.
What do say you need 24, 48 hours just to get you over that hump or over the bridge? Like, what does that look like in terms of power?
Yeah, solar generators are amazing because
Mhm.
unlike, a standard generator, you don't need fuel. The fuel is the sun. So as long as the sun's shining or there's some sun getting through, you can recharge the generator. Now, depending and when you think about your house and what you do, there are different sizes generators and you have to just kind of, get your monthly electric bill, see what your monthly usage is, divide that by 30, that's about your daily usage, and then, do some assumptions based on what you would need to run your household for a day or two or three or a week, like I said. And then,
Mhm.
the solar generators are great because you can not only charge up your phones, run hot water, run cooling fans, power your fridge, cycle your fridge on and off depending on the temperatures, whatnot. But, you can always then you just set that solar panel outside and every time the sun hits it, it's taking energy in and storing it
Right.
for you. So, it's a great item to have. I suggest it for everybody.
Does it store up because living in New York State, especially with the Canadian wildfires and like the smog, can it store up its energy? Because we have some blue
Yeah.
sky days and sunny days, so it just stores that up, and then you use it, and then you could have a couple cloudy days and still use it.
Yeah,
Okay.
direct sunlight's always the best, of course, for any solar. I mean, Tesla too, when you're talking solar panels,
Mhm.
industrial, commercial, or private. But yeah, ambient light still has a positive effect on the panels, but direct sunlight's always better. But again, on the cloudy days or the snowy days when you need it the most, that's when you use it, and then you just go ahead and throw that thing back up when the sun comes back
That
out,
is
and
so cool.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
back.
Now, what would you say is the most important? Like, if everyone's going to go to sat123.com/joy. By the way, use the joy promo code every time. It's 10% off everything. And they
Yeah.
have deals. If you go to sat123.com/joy, they always pop in like good deals just for the Joy audience. So make sure you use my URL. But what would you say? I mean, what do they do first? The satellite phone first, maybe a bivy set, like the bivy sticks too, the generators. Like, what order would you recommend people go in as they begin to pile up and build up there? Because
Yeah.
honestly, the more prepared you are, the better you feel about everything. It's very hard to scare me these days. I don't get frightened, Brett, because well, I know I'm going to meet my maker one day, and I love
That's
Jesus,
it.
and so there's like that baseline, no fear whatsoever. But it is a direct relationship, like financially, spiritually, physically in your home. The more you prepare, the just better you feel. But what would
Right.
you say is like the first thing? What would you say people should go for first?
Yeah, a good assessment of yourself and what you feel your needs are, right? I
Mhm.
always say communication. You got to be able to get a hold of people. You got to be able to hear what's going on. So you can start with a very inexpensive device like a bivy stick, or you can get a more elaborate phone, or something like
Mhm.
that to make phone calls. A bivy just hooks right to your cell phone, and you
Can you
just download
explain
the
the
app.
bivy? Because the bivy,
Yeah,
if you don't want to do a whole satellite phone thing, what I recommend you do, because I have one and it's like the best. But explain the bivy
yeah,
stick for like your family members, like your son who's down at college, and you
yeah.
want to be able to get a hold of him with your satellite phone in case things happen. Like, what does the bivy do?
Yeah, bivy sticks are great. Mine is actually in my bag over there. I should have grabbed it, but it's about the size of a Snickers bar,
Okay.
waterproof, impact proof, and it works off the satellite network, same as Iridium phone. It works off the
Mhm.
Iridium network, and it's a texting satellite device. So only real difference between that and a phone is that you don't make direct phone calls. But as long as that bivy stick can see your cell phone and the
Mhm.
sky, then through the Bivy app or our Galileo app, which we also have now, you can track and communicate with your family through private messages, private servers, off-grid tracking. So if there
That's
were an
amazing.
emergency and your power went out, you could locate your family members just, via this satellite stick. But yeah, phone calls, satellite phones are always a great thing. The military uses them, governments use them. Every one of
Mhm.
the members of the Senate and House and all their staffers 2 years ago got a free Iridium 9555 phone,
Oh, wow.
courtesy of the U.S. taxpayer. So they're all preparing for something. I don't know if we at Satellite Phone Store did not have anything to do with that deal, just to say, but it did in fact happen, and you can look it up. So they're preparing for something to communicate with each other via satellites. And again, I would just suggest that everybody else follows suit.
Yeah. I was just talking to a friend of the Shannon Joy Show, very well known. You know who he
Yeah.
was. But the dirty little secret, they're talking about AI and the expansion of AI, and, all the tech stocks they're the number one performing stocks in the country. I mean, they're making up the entirety of whatever Wall Street is right now. It's
Yeah.
tech stocks. However, the tech CEOs, and he named them, like Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, like it's a well-known fact that they're spending like 20K or more on security. They are building bunkers. They're spending millions of
Mhm.
dollars on bunkers
Yeah.
and communications on like islands. There's definitely this like bottom line. Like people know, they just know that they're going to try something, and that doesn't mean it's going to be. I've come to learn that the disaster is never as bad as you imagine it's going to be, but it still can be pretty bad, right? And it could impact your life, and that's why you want to,
I
certainly,
mean,
yeah,
ask anybody in North Carolina, ask
yeah,
anyone in Pacific Palisades, ask anyone in Lahaina, ask anyone in the middle of the country right now. It's dealing
yeah,
with tornadoes. Ask anyone in Greece,
yeah,
Pakistan, India's floods. I mean, you can just go through the list. Ask them what it was like and if they
yeah,
were prepared for, and for what came. And the answer
yeah,
is probably no, because most
yeah,
of us aren't. And, I'm not wishing that on anybody. And my heart goes out to all of them. We say our prayers for people daily.
yeah.
But, also Noah built his ark in the sun. He didn't build it in the rain. So you got to
Right.
prepare now.
It's so
So,
true.
yeah.
It's so true. And everyone is getting this. Things are getting so crazy. The news cycle is just absurd. It really, frankly, is just
Yeah.
absurd. And so that's when you know, like, okay, they're desperate. They're
Exactly.
desperate. The big
Yeah.
one is coming. Like, ever prepared. Brett Miller. We did not have enough time. I should have scheduled an hour with you. I'm going to try to get you on in September, and I'd like to do a full
Perfect.
hour with you. I'd like to go through a couple different, because you just have a wealth of information. Really appreciate you, but love this kind of introductory talk. How can people find you, listen to your podcast, get a hold of you, and of course, patronize the Satellite Phone Store?
Yeah, thanks. Sat123.com. Give us a call. Check out the website. We got a chat feature if you don't want to talk to anybody.
Yep.
That's come and get our gear. We got all kinds of great stuff for you right there. Oh, you see, yeah, logos or the slides right there. Galileo, satnews123.com. We got our new satellite social media app coming out. That's going to be, it's going to have social gaming and an emergency
Oh, wow.
alert system. So it'll be able to geolocate your position and send you just text message alerts or alerts through our app that say, hey, watch out, there's something coming. So you don't have to go and check all the national broadcasting stuff on your own. We're going to consolidate that for you.
Oh, that's cool.
That's coming out here in the next 2 weeks on that satnews123.com. And yeah, I have the new podcast out. We only have a few episodes up. I appreciate you saying that for me. It's very sweet. I want to have you on if you would. I'd be honored to have you on. Thank you.
Stuff.
Yeah, so that's Citizen Ready is the name of the show, and you can just find that on Rumble, Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. But
That's awesome.
yes, get the gear, sat123.com. That's where it's at. All starts in your home with you being able to take care of your family. And I just appreciate you, Shannon, all you do, and God bless you. Thank you.
Same to you, Brett, as well. And really, guys, I cannot tell you how amazing the Satellite Phone Store team has been to this show and supporting this show and helping us grow. Tina, amazing. Brett, you're amazing. The entire staff. I just cannot recommend that. If you need anything for preparedness, this is this store that I recommend, Satellite Phone Store. Sat123.com/joy. Brett, thank you so much. We'll have you in again.
Thank you, Shannon. Take care.
All right. And thank you guys for being with us today on the Shannon Joy Show. You guys are an amazing audience. I'm so blessed to be here with you every single day. Make sure that you patronize our sponsors, and we'll be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show.